Boom on the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Edmund from the heavens. You are viewed in the scrub view, along with my compatriot Tony. We need to work on his intro.
Don't have a cool
That's
nickname yet. Sorry. I apologize. I'll work on it. Maybe. I'm not going to work on it.
Anyway, today's topic is going to be essentially not AAA versus indie and AA, but the state of both of them and their current status within the gaming market.
Right. And I mean, what we need to, I think, we need to kind of get right into what makes a game AAA? Like, what does it even mean?
You know what? That's actually a good question because we talked a little bit right before the show started. And when you said that, I was like, I don't actually have an exact definition. So I'm not essentially talking about really big budget games that have a high profile publisher, kind of. It's more or less what I'm talking about when I'm talking AAA.
Well, I don't want to be all nerdy, but here's what AAA technically means,
Okay.
right? It's a, it's like an insurance stock term
Yeah.
for a safe bet,
Yes.
right? So if it,
Blue chip stuff.
yeah, so if you AAA studios are basically, hey, we're making a game, who cares what it is? It's just going to print money. And it's like, well, they're making this game, it's going to print money, right? And I feel like that's not the case anymore.
No, I actually think it's the opposite. If I was a big company, I'd actually be a little afraid of the AAA space right now.
Hmm.
And a lot of that, I think they've done to themselves. And that's going to be the topic of conversation today, mainly, is what has AAA done to make it so it is no longer a blue chip stock? It's something that will no longer just print out money almost 100% of the time.
Right. The example I was thinking of very recently was Final Fantasy. Um, they're not, if you go back to, technically 12, 13, 14 at first, and then these last 15 and 16, it's not a shoe in anymore. It's not like, oh, the new Final Fantasy's coming out, everyone buy it. It's kind of like, uh? And with their troubled development, especially for 15, I don't think they're as confident as they were that this will be a sure thing.
I think that's actually a really good example with Final Fantasy. And I think it's a good example because I think it is the number one reason, or at least my first reason, is I feel like with Final Fantasy, I haven't really listened to the fans very well because while I do love action RPGs, I feel like for a decade now, Final Fantasy fans have said they want something more turn-based esque. It doesn't have to necessarily be, Final Fantasy VII rehashed with ATB battle system. And yet, even with the fans saying that, like very loudly, they've continued to go down that action, more and more action RPG until now they have like the Devil May Cry guy, and it's more of a kind of Souls-like hybrid. No,
Well,
I didn't play 16, so
16 is just like a straight up fun action game,
yeah, it's an action
right?
game, and it's
With no, I mean, no RPG really elements to it besides like, you mean like you can kind of pick your kits and everything like that because you can equip different icons and everything. But yeah, I think there's like armor doesn't really do much or whatever. So
if you look at my notes right there, if you can read it, it says trust, and I think that's the thing. A lot of fantasy fans have lost trust in Squaresoft to give them the kind of product that they want. And I think part of that is, and I think this can be said to a lot of the AAA space, is that they're trying to make a game with such mass appeal that they're losing their hardcore audience. So I think that's why Final Fantasy has lost a lot of its luster with its hardcore fan base because they want this specific kind of experience. Even though every Final Fantasy, they've almost always switched it up somewhat.
you're right.
There is still that kind of like turn-based, like RPG, heavy on RPG elements, obviously, and they're just not giving that to them. And I obviously not in boardroom meetings, but I feel that's because Souls likes are popular now. Let's make Final Fantasy, but a Souls like that'll appeal to more massive an audience and bring us in more money. And that is turning off the hardcore base while not necessarily bringing in like Souls like. You know what I mean? My
Yeah.
brother lives and dies by from software games, but he's not playing Final Fantasy.
Hmm. I mean, he should. It's fun.
I
It's
need to play it, but I still have the dream of beating Final Fantasy from 1 to 16 in sequential order. But first, I got to get past doing integrated 1, 2,
saw that. Yeah.
3.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Uh,
oh, I don't have those skills anymore, man. I died 4 times on the tutorial before I even beat Murai. So,
okay.
if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to get an integrated Sigma.
Or no, you didn't. You didn't die.
Oh, yeah,
No, I'll overdub it and be like, I can't believe I am the best at that game. No one
but
can beat me.
doing a no hit run.
Yep. Perfect every time. Can't record it. It's too perfect.
Yeah,
So, sorry there's no video footage of that. Just trust
see.
us. You know?
But so yeah, but for the AAA, I think that's the big thing is trust because then if you look at all these things, now I actually have an example too, and it's just another game I haven't played. But while doing a little bit of research for this, I ran into so many examples of it that I mentioned it, and that would be Destiny 2. If there's ever been a game and the developer, Bungie, that has lost trust with its hardcore player base fans, it is them because they were doing such crazy things. Obviously, the microtransactions and everything. Well, Destiny 2, they also started to, and if you're a Dragon Age fan and you remember Dragon Age 2, you'll remember this word, started to streamline the game for Destiny 2. So they took out a lot of the hardcore elements to make it more accessible to everybody, and it just didn't work. And I think when they're trying to make something more accessible, I don't think a lot of studios actually realize what that means. I feel like Capcom did it very well with Street Fighter 6,
Hmm.
but not Street Fighter 5, despite the fact that Street Fighter 6, I would say, is a little more complicated than Street Fighter 5. So when you're going to streamline and make something more accessible, I really think developers in AAA, in all spaces, but especially AAA space, have to tread carefully because the way they streamline things can just turn people off and not bring people in. Exactly the same with chasing trends, like trying to make something a Soulsborne, whatever the genre is, when it was a JRPG original.
Yeah. Because when you said streamline, I nearly passed out from overuse of that word.
It
Uh,
used to be like a hot for like 15 years, like Dragon Age 2 around that time, every developer was using the word streamlined and it
yeah.
just meant dumbing the game down. And I don't mean that in like a difficulty way. I mean just straight up taking away mechanics.
Yeah. They're like an open world, too big, streamline it, smaller. And it's like, no, like that's not what streamline means in our heart of hearts. That's not what it means. Don't remove things. Take the things that didn't work, get them out, improve the things that did work, maybe make that better. The things people liked about your game, you know?
A genius.
Uh,
I'm sitting.
yeah, it's crazy how this give people what they want. And, well, what? They'll buy it? Okay. Like, no one's ever said that in like a meeting. But yeah, the whole Bungie thing. I mean, I don't know if you've heard any of the stories about what's going on at Bungie, but
Well, from what I've watched, and it was actually a fair amount of stuff, it seems like they have messed up, promised to improve, and then just messed up in a different way. Like that seems to be Bungie's business plan right now.
and they're
To the
failing
point,
upward.
Sony had they went independent from Microsoft, had some problems, and now they're with Sony. So like they're kind of back at square one in a way. Obviously,
Yeah,
different company. And then one thing that I couldn't believe, and if I was Destiny 2 player, I would just be doing myself, is they vaulted or sunset content that you paid for. So you paid for the DLC add-ons, and then over time, like a couple years later, they had some kind of excuse. I don't remember what it was, but they took it away and then would like sell it back in a battle pass. So that, and this goes back to my trust. And I think that that's another reason why you're seeing indie or double A, like smaller developers, just outshine AAA because it's almost come to the point now where if you have a big publisher behind you, you do have this huge budget. Instead of it being that AAA blue chip stock, it's almost a negative. Like, oh no, this is a big budget game. Like, what are they going to do?
Hmm.
Are they going to do microtransactions? Like you have all these negative expectations, and so I think they need to figure that out. What I was thinking is obviously they want to monetize stuff, and they love these like forever games, I believe they're called. But is kind of more of a shareware model, maybe, where like you starting it out, and I believe Destiny 2 actually used to be like this, and then you like after a year or whatever, you work on the next content, and then you sell that almost like a DLC, like an add-on pack,
The
or like
expansion pack.
the expansion pack, or like in Doom when it was like you had Doom, you got the first one free, you could buy the rest, and then later on they even put out Light Flesh Consumed, which was like an expansion pack,
Hmm.
and I think something like that. But battle passes or content is temporary, and it can be taken away from you after you paid for it.
That doesn't.
Yeah,
That makes me do this face. Like, mm-mm.
so that would be my big thing. I really think that there's the entire business model that AAA is using right now is just not sustainable at all. I think there was a couple major successes, and everyone tried to copy it, and they just realized it's not one of those things that everyone can do.
Right, and it kind of happened from what I remember when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, because no one ever made a 1 and 2 game. They always copied 3. And then you got like Saints Row. They did a good job. Uh, and kind of more open world games. And everyone was like, well, let's just make an open world game. And like that's not the selling point of it. Like just because if you make one, you are not guaranteed to make money. And like studios were like, well, we made an open world game. That's what people like. And I'm like, and that's what that game did. Like you can't just if you made a blue shirt and everyone likes it, and then you're like, check out this orange shirt, and everyone's like, I hate orange. Like they're like, but we made a shirt. It's like, well, it's a different color. Sure, it's the same shirt, but it's not what we want. And I don't know who doesn't listen at those meetings. Like Concord. You heard about Concord.
I did hear about
Uh,
Concord. I've actually watched a lot of videos on Concord, but I believe Concord is mainly a character design thing. I heard the gameplay isn't the worst or anything, but it was just like absolute failure on the character design level.
I mean, I feel like if the game is good enough, right? The actual I'm playing the game, it's fun. Um, that should account for at least more than 100 people playing it, you know. But yeah, it just no one was playing that game like whatsoever. And yeah, the character. I mean, we can change character designs. You know what I mean? Just like hit a button. It takes longer
They
than
were
hitting a
pretty
button,
bad.
but
I'm sorry, you can't diminish
oh,
how
they
bad the character design
oh no,
were.
they
Uh,
were not good,
okay.
right? But you can fix
Yeah, yeah,
models. You know what I mean?
that's
If
true.
your game isn't fun to play, that's harder to fix.
Yeah,
You know, same thing with marathon. You've heard about marathon.
I did, and see. I can't. Marathon could be awesome, but man, those character designs again, like I don't know what's going on with all these like love of like mixing pink and orange and stuff together. Like they just have these character designs I'm not feeling. So I wouldn't even probably give it a chance just based off the character design.
Yeah, and the fact that they stole all the artwork.
I actually I didn't know about that until a little bit ago, like while I was researching this.
Yeah,
That's a crazy one. But the thing is, I don't want to put that on all of Bungie because I mean, you hired an artist, he jacked someone, and then you know what I mean. It's I highly doubt like management's like, hey, just go and find something and bring it over here.
you've got 1 hour. You've got to design a whole game real quick. And then, like, yeah, the people who, because if you're just kind of doing, like, for me, when I worked at my studio, I'm going to put a sound that makes a sound right there. I never got to see a lot of anything but except what I was modeling. So I didn't even know what the other team was really doing. I got like updates. I'd ask them for things, you know. So it'd be like, hey, look at all the stuff I made, and then find out the guy that was doing all the artwork basically ripped everything from an Instagram guy or girl. I don't know. And then you're like, but I did like all of this stuff, and then you textured it with stolen artwork, and they're like, oops, you know. And they were like, well, that guy doesn't work here anymore. And I'm like, yeah, but are you still making the game with all that stuff in it? Because then we know you're lying, I think, you know? So that kind of sucks too. But it kind of goes into this, the AAA studio, right? I would assume so.
I would consider one.
And you put out a product and it's not immediately a hit. And so what happens? You know, like, and I think we're starting to see with a lot of games that are failing is that, yeah, it's not a guarantee that your AAA game is going to do it anymore.
Yeah, 100% not a guarantee.
And so now, I mean, I don't, this kind of sounds negative, but now we're sort of relying on indie developers to like actually make the good games now,
Yeah,
you know?
100%. Well, and double A. When I say indie, I also mean double A because someone like Arrowhead Studios that made, I think it's Arrowhead, that made Helldivers 2. I think they got like Sony behind it. Like they got a bit of money, so they're not quite indie.
Mhm.
But again, they're not one of those huge developers. So
Right.
double A indie, I'm kind of all mixing it
You're
up.
mixing
But
them
yeah,
together.
yeah,
Yeah, because there's tons of really good game ideas that don't need a $30 million budget, really. And well, 30, you know, it's stupid. 30 is not that big anymore,
no,
you know?
from reading like there was some 400 million. That, like I don't know, if true or maybe there was some kind of like marketing blitz that I didn't know about. But Concord allegedly cost 400 million.
There's been conflicting things. I know that there was a report that and by report I mean I read it on the internet.
Yeah, that's why I
Uh,
get online. So
I didn't.
I can't say
No one
that.
handed me like a
No,
little manila envelope when I was like reading it, like you know,
super sleuth Tony over here.
yeah, it cost around 250 million, and then they got extra money um, from the Sony, I think. That sort of gave them an influx of money, and then what they did with that, no one really knows, or how much it was. I know someone was throwing around like they got almost 200 extra million, so that would have pushed it towards that, you know,
Yeah,
was that half a billion?
yeah.
You know, and it's like okay for Condor, like okay, like usually if someone had said, "Hey, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to cost you know like almost a quarter of $1 billion," wouldn't even bat an eye. Be like, "Yeah, that makes sense. They've been working on it for like 12 years." You know?
And that is one of those ones where it's such a tried and true IP that like investing that much money in it just kind of does make more sense to me.
Yeah, but now you've got like Halo, right? You can't just release a Halo now
No,
because people might not buy it, and so
which is crazy to think about. And or even it fell off a little bit ago, but there was a time Gears of War was the like instant
yeah,
buy for everyone, and then now like a lot of people forget it exists. Like I think I could ask like a lot of these Zoomers over here, and then like, hey, you ever play Gears of War? Well, no, what's that? Like, and which is crazy to me because like Halo, Gears of War, those were like definitely like huge brand name IPs at
they
one point.
definitely were fun games, great games. Well, I mean,
Like,
Gears of War. I
yeah,
know
Gears of
there's
War was yeah, it must have been Microsoft because it was an Xbox exclusive,
yeah,
or
well,
maybe it wasn't. They at least paid for it.
yeah, because I'm pretty sure you can get. I think that's why it was confusing me because the Gears of War collection is on the PS5, and I was like Microsoft thing, so it throws me off with this whole Game Pass thing now that they Microsoft's just putting games out on other platforms that aren't theirs. And I'm okay with it, I guess. It's just a little weird,
Sounds like
you know.
Steam on that.
Yeah, if it comes to Steam, who cares? The console fanboys are up in arms. I
And actually, one of the YouTube channels I was looking at, this girl Laura Fryer, I believe her name was, worked on the Gears of War series, and she said one of the problems that she thinks, I believe she's retired now out of the industry, but is that uh, they're not keeping the things within scope because you can have a whole bunch of these like things that you want to do, but it's always going to cost more. It's always going to take longer. It's going to be delayed. There's a whole bunch of headaches that come with it. So at some point, you just have to put down exactly what the game is going to be and like keep everything within that scope.
feature creep. That's what that's called.
Feature creep. I believe she even used that word. And so I believe that might actually be a little bit of a problem too, is that these last minute add-ons that aren't quite working out, that are doing something to the game because I don't want to say they're lower quality. Sometimes they are, but there's something they're not as I don't know what the word is, but they're just not as compact. Like they're not the gameplay's not as tight as it used to be for AAA.
That's a good one. Tight, tight.
Tight.
And you can really just say like, "Hey, this just wasn't as good."
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's I just got into a little discussion about the Matrix movies, and I cannot say any more because I will go on a weird tangent for hours uh, about the Matrix, and I can't
don't
do it.
let them. Okay, I was around during Matrix 1, 2, and 3, and this guy was a maniac with that. But the Matrix. Sorry, we're getting sidetracked. I loved the fan theories for the Matrix better than I loved the actual answers.
Yes,
So,
yeah, me too,
yeah,
me too.
the
And I
theories
was
were crazy around that time. But
seriously,
anyway, getting back to it, and you know what? Another thing I think it is when it comes to specifically AAA that the Indian AA developers don't have this problem is the business plan itself is I feel like with double A and indie they are making a game that has to be liked for them to be successful. While with the AAA, it has to make money to be successful. So I feel like AAA games are now made for investors and stock prices, while double A and that is actually still made for the fans. And I think that that very mentality is also a big thing because it allows or double A and indie to take some maybe not huge risks, everything's different, but it takes some chances. Which is actually, even though we were talking a little bit of crap on the Final Fantasy series, one thing you do have to give Squaresoft, they always try something different. So they are at least willing to attempt to give
kind
people
of
something
buck
different.
tradition.
Yeah, they'll buck tradition, even if it's maybe not in the way the fans want. And I don't think a lot of the AAA developers are willing to do that.
I, I also believe that, and I think the reason why shouldn't be money, right? They're like, well, if we do this, we're going to lose money. Like, or hear us out, come up with a good idea, make it playable, make it good, and then maybe go from there and kind of guide people, towards that direction. It might annoy the fan base a little bit, but you can do that without just, oh, I don't know, spending 13 years developing Final Fantasy 15 or like the Duke Nukem game, Duke Nukem Forever, you know?
Did you know? Okay, I'm a Boomer Shooter fan. Someone actually got their hands on like the old school Duke Nukem Forever that eventually came out,
Hmm.
and they tried as best they could to like recreate it. So the actual original Duke Nukem Forever that Three Realms was making back in the day, in a way, is kind of available
Interesting.
now.
I want it.
Yeah. Well, I've heard it's only mediocre. I didn't play it.
I mean, I'll take that mediocre
Yeah.
over what we got because talk about feature creep, right? Like there's so much detail and all this stuff about that game that didn't matter really. Like it was fun. Like, okay, so you remember now we're talking about Duke Nukem. Remember in Duke Nukem 3D, there was that area where there was a pool table
Yes.
and then you could actually
Yep.
hit the,
Yep.
cool, right? Duke Nukem Forever does that a lot with a lot of different things. I think that the big one was very near the beginning of the game. You get a whiteboard, and you can just do whatever you want with the whiteboard. Like literally whatever you want to write and draw on it, like you can. But then,
Okay.
like later in the
So
game,
we're gonna have to take this into a little bit of a adult direction. How many penises do you think were drawn on that
okay, so
whiteboard?
that's
So let's be honest. Who the instant that he said you could draw on a whiteboard in a video game, every single person watching this right now was like, "Dude, I've drawn a
I think the TTP
penis."
was that's time to penis was about 20 seconds. Um, and that's an actual thing that you have to worry about in games
Mhm.
because that's the first thing people are going to do.
You wanna look at this?
And as much as we like to think that we're, highly educated, we send things in outer space, we've got pictures. There's a picture of a sun out in the universe that we found. Like I was us,
Yeah.
smart people found. And the sun, it's 900 like billion times bigger than our sun. And just like it's out there somewhere, right? But if you give someone something the right way and something they can draw on, they will draw.
100% true. 100% true.
Doesn't matter how far in technology we get, light travel, whatever. Someone's gonna be like,
Eventually we'll make our way to Andromeda or whatever the next galaxy is, and like the first thing someone's gonna do is land on another planet and drop penis in the dirt.
yeah, look like
Which is,
what I did,
oh,
and
if
it's gonna be the same one.
I'm willing to bet next to the flag on the moon, secretly Lance Armstrong, he drew penis.
Lance Armstrong,
Not Lance Armstrong. What's his name? Buzz Aldrin? Buzz, I can't remember his actual
Neil,
name.
Neil
Neil
Armstrong. Okay,
Armstrong.
because it's Lance Armstrong's up there.
He went.
He took a wrong turn on his bike.
He biked his way to the moon.
He's like, "Oh yeah, I have a bracelet. What can I do? Go to the moon. Drop penises on the moon."
But yeah, so I don't think that they can take as many chances. And like you were saying with like GTA 3, and then people made all those copies and just thought they were going to sell. Well, that's the thing is GTA 3 was done. So if you're not going to outdo Grand Theft Auto 3 at this time, yeah, now, but and you even if you're going to make an open world game, you have to give them a unique experience within that open world game. And this goes back to my follow the leader thing with AAA. I don't think they are. I think they're quite literally, it's not follow the leader, it's like mimic the leader 100% and exact. I think that's a big problem. If the big thing right now is battle royales or Souls likes or da 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 da, you can't just make Elden Ring because you're probably not going to make it as good as From Software did. You have to give a unique example of that, like Code Vein. It's a Souls like, but it's like anime and da 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 da, and it's a unique experience despite the fact that it is in that genre.
Very
And
true.
I don't think AAA is doing that.
So if then here's my okay. Ubisoft, however you say it, I don't know. They haven't really been putting out a lot of games because I feel like they're stuck with their decision to just like make a game. Unfortunately, could shut them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they had a super bad. It was last year or 2 years ago. They had like a soul crushingly bad year, I believe. Like
And they don't, but they have to release things. I believe. And it used to be like Assassin's Creed, but the thing that they also got in trouble with, not in trouble, but criticism for Assassin's Creed, is that it wasn't different enough from like the previous one, but people were still buying them. So you kind of have like this weird FIFA, Madden. You've got these game companies that are just kind of doing the same thing every year, but if they don't, also trouble. You know?
that is it. Well, I think that the yearly release thing for was it yearly or bi-yearly for Assassin's Creed was a bad idea because sometimes people need to cleanse their palate, if you will.
Mhm.
Because if you're going to get Assassin's Creed, the next year's Assassin's Creed it has to be a bit different. And I heard a lot of people liked it and everything, but didn't Assassin's Creed start going out into like weird places where you're like skinning animals and stuff, like which might have been good, but if you just keep going down that road, you're going to start to get so far away from what made Assassin's Creed that I think once again you're going to start losing your primary hardcore base.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think one of the thing is they need to like chill on the yearly releases because you're going to kill the IP in the long run
Hmm.
rather than, I mean, people can wait 3 or 4, even 5 years. Like GTA 6 has been a lifetime.
Yeah.
Uh,
Came out on the PS3.
yeah,
So
I think yearly releases are also bad. Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, like I think that's why those are less popular and getting blowback, even though
yeah,
they're still high selling. Like
I mean, you have to, right? Like if you're, I assume people play Madden. I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about
I
football.
feel like sports games are a little bit a difference.
Yeah, the like FIFA, for example, I get because lots of things can change from season to season, and you can't really just change that in the game, really,
Yeah.
Get a new manager. Like some people sometimes redo their stadiums in the off season. There's a lot of things to do. It can't just change the stats on that kind of stuff. But um, yeah, it's weird for me because I think who's been doing it the best right now, as far as like AAA goes, has been Sony. Like their first party titles, like The Last of Us, the new God of War, um, and Spider-Man games. It's kind of not fair with Spider-Man because it can't come out on the other systems because Sony has it, but they've just been great. Like every one of those that have come out have been fantastic. Um, so I think they're doing a good job, but they also kind of do the opposite of what's on this list here, which is there there's no like set time frame like when it comes out. They are taking their time, got their focus in, and they're making sure that what they're doing will work.
So a unique experience that's still within the same kind of boundaries of the original game.
Right.
That I think that's key to keeping an IP alive.
The new God of War games,
Yeah.
very different than like the original type of games, but they're absolutely amazing. Um, like just from everything, like how they do the story, how the combat works. Like it's very difficult combat, which is how God of War's kind of always been. They're like, hey, you've got these buttons that do crazy things. And then like you fight a boss or like these other challenges and they're tricky, So it's like, okay. So you get the old feeling from the old God of Wars, but now it's way different, you know? So Sony, I think, has been doing pretty good. And then these things that keep happening with like Bungie and Concord and all this, I don't think, I think that's bad on them, especially if I believe it was Sony that invested in Concord and they were like, we want a looter, not a looter shooter, but like a team-based, shooter game. And I
A
think
hero
they
shooter, I think.
hero shooter,
Yeah.
and they're just like, we made one. And it's like everyone's like, we don't care, you know. So I think that kind of hurt them
It's
a
beyond we don't
lot.
care. I think that was one of the biggest disasters in gaming history. It was up there. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know the exact thing. Like you said, there's some numbers thrown around, but it was definitely a couple $100 million for a couple hundred max player base. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that was pretty
Like,
bad.
guys, we're in the double digits now. Like, yes. Like, no. Like, you gotta bring in those numbers. And I didn't know this until Brennan actually said something. You had to pay for it. It wasn't like a free to play
Yeah.
web service thing. Like, you have to pay like $30 for it. And then they're like, Battle Pass, all this other stuff. And it's like, well, you should have probably just kept it free then, get people in more.
Well, that's another thing is we've talked about when it comes to the big titles pricing. Now, in some ways, I understand why they want to keep them because I do try to look at it from the business perspective, even though obviously I just want everything free all the time. Come on, but I can understand that with budgets going so huge, why they do want to increase prices. But even if budgets are going up, the oh my God, it's raining. Even if people's budgets going up, salaries are not. So
Yeah,
I don't think that they are realizing that you can't have all these forever games and have people always, signing up for each one because there is a limited budget that people have, and it is not going up at the same rate that the the budget for these games is.
that is
So
very
I
true.
think they have to figure out a way to lessen budget. I just honestly think AAA needs to lower the scope of the game. Like I think uh, instead of just going for just these huge, massive budget games, they should be making something like a Helldivers that's just peak, like you said, like what Sony does, where it's just dialed in to the maximum level. You know what I mean? Everything is just polished on it
Hmm.
because I just don't think that they'll be able to continue releasing games at a higher and higher price and making them for these with these huge budgets at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think it's really time for the AAA part of section of the game industry to just really dial things back.
The other annoying thing that I've been noticing recently as well, and this is just one of my pet peeves, okay?
I love pet peeves and petty complaints.
Yeah.
Grind my gears. It's the best.
So,
Okay.
so okay, they're already talking about next gen console already, right? Microsoft has said that they've got a thing for it. There's been orders placed for pieces of like the hardware and everything that are floating are like, why would this company need to buy this many of this, whatever. Um, I don't think games changed too much from the PS4 era to now.
Not at all.
I don't think there's okay. So I remember when I first saw Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PS2, I think my jaw hit the floor. I could not believe that I could look at something like that. You know what I mean? PS3 comes out, like the Xbox 360, they're alive,
Yeah.
like they're like four. I was just like, this is like it's amazing. Everything's great. And then now it's kind of annoying because I've got between good frame rate
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Or
better
graphics.
graphics, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why am I like why is that a thing?
And to me, good frame rate is the only thing because I would say that the good graphics mode, it just is almost, to me at least, unnoticeably better. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, if you go 18-bit to 16-bit, like Zelda to like the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past,
Yeah,
it was like, whoa. And then when you go to the 16-bit, the PlayStation now we're 32-bit, whoa, like Super Mario World and then Super Mario 64, whoa, dude. But now it's just not there. Like, so I think the thing is that AAA, a lot of times before, with those big budgets, they were able to rely a little bit more on spectacle via graphics, like, oh, look at the new fancy graphics. And you just can't do that anymore because it's just not an improvement or
they
not much of an improvement.
they have Unreal 5, right? I don't know with all the cool things and features that Unreal 5 can do. No game company is doing anything with any of that stuff.
Thank you. When I was watching these Unreal 5 tech demos, it wasn't even about polygon counts or anything. They're like, look, you can have real time melting. And it's like the guy was shooting a laser into a rock and the rock was melting. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, oh my God, you're going to have this destructive environments and da 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 da. I haven't seen it once.
No one's really like they have one of the coolest things that they had was and I can't remember the name of it, but it was their new rendering technology, right? And what we used to have to do, at least in back in my day, right, when I was in video game school, I had to take like a huge model that I made in ZBrush that was like millions of parts, and I had to bake it down into something that could fit in the engine. Like sometimes it could be had to be like 5,000, right? And had to take all that info and like, finagle it and do whatever. And then they showed they're like, oh, this is a like a 3 million poly statue. We just exported it from ZBrush. It just works now. And then they put like 40 of them on the screen. And I was just like, so why don't I have to do like like I don't have to make it work on the hardware anymore. Your engine just does it.
See, now this is a question that someone that was not in game school would has for someone like you. Optimization. How come they can advertise something like that and on these tech demos,
Mhm.
but yet it appears that when they actually put not even that, but lesser things inside the game, you all of a sudden just get these stuttering frame rates. Like I'm I'm a cheap gamer. I usually play like a lot of stuff that's like 5 years old that's on sale, so I don't usually have this problem. But you would nonstop keep hearing about it from Borderlands 4 on down. That like it's not that crazy graphically, and yet
Mhm.
it's stuttering at 25 to 30. So you can't even get 60 FPS out of it. Is that just an optimization? They just are coding it bad? Like,
It's a couple of things. Okay. But the main thing I would say is that um, those optimization tools are in the engine already, and they're in a drop down. So you can find at any point in your game, and Unity has this as well. At any point, you can see like the graphs and everything of where your hiccups are. Like, why is it doing that, right? And what they used to do is fix that before release. They're not putting as much time into it anymore. But now with Borderlands specifically, not I'm not sure if anyone remembers this, but Borderlands looked like the original Borderlands did not have any cell shaded kind of that comic book look to it whatsoever. It was a really dark, like serious type game, right?
what man? It's been so many years since I played it, but in my mind, I remember it as being cel shaded.
It in it, right? It's now, but originally it wasn't, right?
Oh man, that's
So
great.
what they did
Is this a
was
Mandela effect? Because I swear to God, it
I
was cel
have
shaded.
I
I
have
swear it
I
was.
have the Game Informer somewhere,
Oh,
okay?
okay,
And
okay.
it was on the cover and it was like cool. I was like really excited about it because the way that they were describing it. They were really excited about the guns, like having like full customization and everything. And I think a point in development they were just like, let's just go crazy with it. And then we're just like, cool. And they lost all the seriousness of it. And they're just like, let's just make it fun. And I think that worked,
It
right?
did, it did, yeah.
But graphically, everything that you see in Borderlands is post processed, right? So the texture before post processing looks real. Like it's a really good texture, right? And then they go over it with the post processing. And then that's what gives it its self shaded look,
Okay,
right?
okay.
If they're doing that still, I don't know if they are still doing it that way, then those now it's not really textures. Now they're kind of called materials now. Think I'm probably wrong, but back in my day, a material would pull all these different textures together and form a material. If they're doing that and then afterwards also processing those materials, that could definitely randomly can cause like those stuttering issues if you don't fix what's causing it, right? And they might have fixed that, like that how they texture everything on there. But to when you say optimization, it's trickier to optimize things on different hardware, right? But it's the Unreal Engine. So it's easier to optimize it in Unreal than you would think. But that's also from a very high level looking down. That's like the CEO just going, fix it. You know, I'm sure there's reasons why they can't fix it. Um, but yeah, there is a way to optimize how your game runs. Sometimes it just has to do with hardware. Um, it's easier now to fix it because you can just upload a patch or do whatever. But from what I've been seeing myself on Borderlands 4, um, it's kind of what we're talking about. You are a AAA company, though. So maybe you should spend that extra time on that
You're definitely
optimization,
held to a higher standard.
right?
Yeah.
So if like I made a game and it runs like garbage, I'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing,
Yeah,
you
and,
know?
and this is a one person studio.
Yeah, like I'm a half a person studio. ChatGPT's writing my code. Like I don't know what's going on. It doesn't run well. Okay. Like my laptop is 6 years old. If it's not working on this, I don't know. But yeah, there are some things that have been happening where yeah, Final Fantasy Seven Rebirth like just did not work on the PS5. It just ran like garbage, you know.
That's so crazy because
Uh,
Squaresoft and Sony in my day were tight. So like
right,
to not have it
and
work on a
it
PlayStation.
like that's why people were like, "Well, it runs like garbage," and it's like, well, yeah, your $500 $600 console from your AAA company should run well. I don't think it's one of those like where fans and consumers are asking too much. I don't
No,
think I'm asking too much for it to just run well.
there is only one example of a time where it's perfectly acceptable for a big company to have their game not run well. And that is those final stairs of Ninja Gaiden 2 when they're throwing an army of ninjas at you nonstop. And for some reason, going down to that 12, 13, 14, 15 frame rate, it's like playing in slow motion and it makes it even more glorious. God bless Ninja Gaiden 2.
I mean, yes,
Sorry, I always have to turn things back to ninjas.
have to.
But a little bit on what somebody said though is like I don't know if that actually is, but like even older laptop. So do I. My computer, like I'm one of those guys that I will not replace my computer until basically it has to be broke down.
Hmm.
And I think there's more and more people like that. I think there's less people that are just upgrading every couple of years. So I think that's another reason why they need to limit the scope and not focus as much on graphics because not only are the graphics not really having this leap and bound improvement like noticeably to the consumer, is I don't think consumers upgrading their hardware near as much.
I mean, it's I think PC gaming is
Even in PC, and PC never
yeah.
it used to be all about that. Like, oh, I got Pentium 33, now it's Pentium 75, bro. And then, you know what I mean? Like,
We never said bro. We were like, I got a Pentium 4. I can play my three Minesweepers at once. I'm playing the pinball game that came in Windows 98.
okay,
Um,
I said, screw all that shit. If I had an Amiga 500, I was sitting there playing my Mind Magic and my Mortal Kombat 2 on 9 different diskettes, and I was happy.
oh yeah, those are fun times. But like with PC games now, it's kind of like you play on console for the games, and if you're fine with it, but you play on PC specifically for it to look and play better. Like
Mhm.
the core game is the same, but you're like you're making it look better. Like, and if it doesn't even run on the base port on PC, that sucks. You know what I mean? But it is trickier, I think, on PC just because there's more components.
Yeah.
But on your consoles,
Yeah, that's a weird one to me, especially with, like I said, Final Fantasy. I'm always used to
yeah,
Final Fantasy like Final Fantasy is made for Sony consoles. You know
it
what I mean?
is.
Everything else comes second. That's how I'm used to it being.
Yeah,
So for it not to run that well on a PS5,
yeah. It just didn't run well. The PC port. I think it was I think I don't know if it came out after. Probably came out after, but also didn't run particularly well at first, and then they had to go back and fix it. Um, you can delay games. Like I'd
uh,
rather you just delay it.
I think that's
Silk
pretty
Song is
necessary.
what
7 years in development, I believe.
uh, you can
I'm
just
so lucky that because I didn't have to wait for that because like now I have to go back and try it. I'm cleansing my palate though with the drink I did, but I'm gonna go back and play Hollow Knight. Uh, I I didn't have to do that big wait, but now if Hollow Knight is as good as Silk Song is, I feel so bad for those people that had to wait 7 years for Silk Song because I'm already craving that DLC for Silk Song. It is such a masterpiece.
it's not even that. It's they announced it and then it just never. They were like when'd you announce it? I don't know, 6 years ago. I don't know.
That
We're
was
radio silent as well. We're not telling anybody anything. But
I think sometimes radio silence might actually be better because one thing is if you do talk too much, you might run into a no man's sky situation.
very
Yeah,
true.
where you over like because I think I've even said this on the show before. My favorite internet video is by an internet historian. It's the Goodification, I believe it's called, of No Man's Sky. And there was some stuff where like, oh, they didn't deliver on this. Well, they actually did have it in the game, but it made the game worse, so they took it out. But since they promised it earlier, now it's just a missing feature. Now
Mhm.
it's not something like, oh, this didn't work out how you guys thought it would. You know what I mean? That people aren't taking it that way. So not, games do need to obviously get hype, but I think a little bit of radio silence can be good.
What about, and you, I don't know if you know about this, the Virtua Fighter 6 from the Tokyo Game Show that happened last week.
I did not watch
Okay. So
anything on it. I'm not a
they,
Virtua Fighter guy at all. I'm actually anti Virtua Fighter.
we know you're anti Virtua Fighter, but so they announced a new Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, I do
Okay.
know that.
And they showed off a what what people are kind of saying is a gameplay. That's what they're shooting for, right? It's
But
not
almost
really
a
the game,
tech demo,
kind of like a tech
gameplay
demo,
demo.
but they're like,
Or-
this is what we are aiming for. Now we're trying to get there, right? And the first thing people were noticing was how awesome everything was. Especially if you're not a Virtua Fighter fan, like they did this in Street Fighter Five and somewhat in Street Fighter Six, but depending on what you block, you have different animations.
That's cool.
When you dodge things, you dodge it differently if it's like a punch or a kick. When you get hit, you know how like Tekken 7, like when you go for the final blow and you guys are low on health, it slows down a bit,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh,
So
no, so that was actually a very good idea by
that's a
them.
very
That
great idea.
creates a moment.
In Virtua Fighter, they have these strong attacks that zoom in, and like so they show Akira getting hit in the face with a kick, and it zooms in to like him actually getting kicked like in the face. A tooth comes out, and it just pulls the camera right back,
Oh,
you know.
okay.
And so they're like, okay, so they have this little setup fight, and everything about it is like, ooh, that's not how Virtua Fighter used to be, like characters on the ground, they rolled like a certain way. They were able to attack while they're on the ground,
Hmm.
and they're like,
Now it's a
it,
bit more dynamic.
yeah, it's a little bit. It's everything was better,
Yeah.
right? And so they had this Tokyo Game Show thing, right? They were like, they have a whole panel for Virtua Fighter 6. We're gonna get more stuff for Virtua Fighter 6. They just played that demo and paused it and talked about it more, like an hour. They're like, but you already, this is the Tokyo Game Show. You already showed everyone this footage and talked about it, kind of. And now they're like, well, we're going to talk about it again.
Well, did they at least cover some new stuff, or like,
Kind of, I mean, kind of, but if you were watching it for new, exciting information, they robbed you of that. And a lot of people online are just like, they didn't show anything new. They didn't talk about anything new.
you Virtua Fighter
So,
fans deserve it? You deserve it. Tekken for life.
right?
Tekken for life.
Yeah. Where's versus two?
Yeah,
Where is it?
I, I am a little bit excited for Virtua Fighter because the only reason I hated it is because you remember Virtua Fighter 1 and 2 never like I mean they competed, but there was never this heat between the Tekken and the Virtua Fighter people.
Right.
For some reason, Virtua Fighter 3 and Tekken 3 just created this absolute divide where just
Yeah.
like, no, you are one or the other. You are with us or against us. I don't know why that happened with Virtua Fighter 3 and Tekken 3, but it did. And I was on the Tekken side.
The only thing I can think of was not only was it technically graphically superior to Tekken 3, They added,
The slopes.
yeah, there was
Yeah.
like different angles
And
and
Tekken
stuff.
4 ended up copying that.
Yeah, they
It
did.
was fine in Tekken 4. It was not fine. It sucked in
And
3, but
I just didn't think that was like the big step that fighting games needed, really. I think the big step for fighting games was more getting more people to play it. And then because all of the console versions where you could play online were garbage. So complete and utter garbage. And I think that was a big thing.
we could almost do a show just entirely on like what were fighting games thinking, not adapting to online quicker. That. Oh. But anyway, I'm actually excited for Virtua Fighter 6 now, and it's because of Maximilian Dude video in which he said they said they were not ever, and I guess this is years ago, they would never put out Virtua Fighter 6 unless they could actually innovate.
Yep.
So it doesn't sound like they should really showed any innovation with that demo, but I trust them when they say that. It goes back to
It's about
this.
trust.
I,
It was just if like I think a lot of people were disappointed that they
yeah.
typically the way it goes usually
So
is
this would be a sign not to go radio silent.
yeah, like this was the opposite. Like maybe don't go radio silent, but also don't just
Reiterate.
tell everybody everything you're doing. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like there's a big Reddit thread, reddit.com. I'll put it down here on the bottom right here.
Just in case you
Just
never heard of it.
click the link. Subscribe button. Um, there was a big argument over the fans and fans and consumers about should we listen to the fans or should the developers make their own game? Because a lot of developers are they listen to their fans more. You know, they're more open with it. But then you get like the weirdos, and I'm sorry, but you're weirdos, okay, who dislike like the Witcher game because you couldn't create your own character,
But it's based on the books. Well, okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're like, well, there's no character creators game sucks. Like, what? No, what are you doing? Like, that's don't listen to that guy. No, don't throw an original character creator in that. But like that, those
That would
people are
actually
out
be
there,
weird considering it's based on a pre-existing intellectual
right? And
property.
that's
So anyway,
probably why they're
sorry to
doing that.
interrupt, all the time.
But you know, you have those people that want certain things that are just like, yeah, that's probably not ever going to happen. You know, but I think a lot of times what they do, especially with game studios, is because they don't want to follow in the suit where a lot of these like game studios, if like the game doesn't sell well, they're out of a job immediately. You know, Hi-Fi Rush. Um,
Well, there's some weirdness. Again, I actually was doing research for this. So he just brought up something. I think it actually was Hi-Fi Rush. They were successful and they still got laid off.
yeah,
That is that is ridiculous if someone fails downward. Like I hate hearing about something like that.
it's
Or I mean, succeeds downward. I guess
they not only did they like crush it, right? The game's fantastic, right? The numbers that Microsoft was because they would not shut up talking about how great it was, and then they like what like 2 months later they're just like, oh, we're firing everybody.
that's
Like what? So now what's
you
a
have too much
success?
talent. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
So now what is your? So they are a successful studio, but you still let them all go.
Yeah, I don't know
You
what to say
know,
about that.
that confuses me
That
a little
does.
bit. But Microsoft said there was all about like money and all that stuff, which I don't believe. They made like $80 billion last year, so I don't believe they. Oh, my yachts, I only can afford 3 yachts. I'm trying to buy a new engine for my yacht. Like I think your company, if you just earned billions of dollars, I think you can afford it. It's just what do you do then? Because if a successful game gets shut down, now other studios are like, okay, maybe we're going to take a step back and kind of reevaluate what now is success. Like, what now can we do to not get shut down? If, like, you're owned by like Microsoft or you're partnered with them, your publisher, like, you know, what can you do to be successful, and what does it mean to be successful? Like, is it just sales? Is it more people playing your game? Like, I think that's different for every
A
company.
corporate environment, yeah, I was gonna say, I think that there's I just think because usually you would think, okay, from the business side, we made money, obviously we're successful. But now, like, it's okay, you made us money this time, but we want live service games to make us money over this amount. So like you made us money, but not in the right kind of way. So you're gone. Like that's what that feels like to me is that like, yeah, we can't monetize you in the future. Thanks for your service, but you gotta go. So that's devastating to games. Like the AAA games, if that's the mentality that the publishers and the big developers whatever have they they'll just continue to crash because I cannot that is something that actually makes me physically irritated to hear when like oh you're the breakout hit yeah thanks but
Thanks, but no
we don't need you
thanks. Yeah,
anymore
I
like
guess you're all fired. Good
yeah
job.
yeah good job
Like what that it bothers me a bit,
yeah
right?
that one does that actually
That
bothers
bothers
me
me.
like
It happened to they made a new mana game, like a Visions of Mana,
yeah
right? And it's like an open world action RPG, right? And I played the demo, and I was like, "This is pretty cool." Like, it's like a Tales game, not a Tales game, but a Secret of Mana game. Really liked it. Studio got shut down. Uh, I think I saw the announcement maybe the next day after the game came out. Like,
so they were already planning to shut it down
right. And so you're just like, well, what? Like, what?
yeah
Why did you even like? The mindset where you're like, hey, you know what? Game series is really cool. The Mana series, and you're like, cool. Like, well, let's make this a new one. You got your anime characters like in there with the crazy hair, and there's always one character.
and it was that expensive to make. I mean, as far as gaming goes.
Yeah, and so then they just released the game, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Like it's on sale and everything. Like it's ready to go." And then like I'm reading, "Oh, the studio's been shut down." Like you didn't even give them time to like celebrate. Like they weren't even like, "Yay, we did it!" And it's like, "Oh, by the way, none of you have a job."
Yeah, I actually those are probably the type of studios the AAA. I honestly really think the AAA needs to become well polished AA studios. I just don't think they can do their current 400 million, almost $400 million games anymore. So it's something like that where you do make like I don't know how much it costs. But let's just say that costs 10, 25 million to make that Visions of Mana. I know nothing about it. Those are just random numbers I'm making up. But I think that actually should be their new scope. Like cut everything back. Get those games. If those games eventually you'll have one that's a really big breakout success, then maybe you can take that IP and make it bigger or something.
Mhm.
Well, just throwing this money into these live service games that are unproven and shutting down studios that to make a proven good product is just, I don't think there's a gamer out there that'll disagree. Like, that's,
Like even if like it's not your type of game,
mhm.
it's like, oh, is it good? Like, yes. Does everybody like it? Pretty much. And they're like, well, then yeah, then you would say that's a good thing. You made a good game. That's fun and awesome. Why didn't the people who made that good thing suffer?
Yes.
But then
Why?
your company gets rewarded for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like it's like it's frustrating, and I'm sure it's very frustrating for like the studio head, because I think he learned about his studio getting shut down from Twitter.
Yeah.
So he was just like,
Oh, wait,
and like,
what?
and he posted a selfie of him, but like behind, like he won, the studio won awards for like best game, like, and he's like, he took a selfie like with it, like because they were behind him, and after he learned that the studio was getting shut down, so I'm sure he's confused more than anything.
Well, again, though, that's probably trust from the consumer. But now you even have the creative developers where it's like, why would I get a job where I can make a successful game and still lose out. So I think that's the other thing that's going to make the Indian AA spaces even stronger is the best talent is probably going to go over there because before, like a big corporate job would be the cushy, oh, I'm good now. You know what I mean? Like maybe I don't get to have all the creative freedom in the world, but at least it's stable. It's honestly seeming that like going the route of a double A or indie studio is actually just as stable, if not more so, than some of those jobs. Because if you're succeeding yourself into the unemployment line, like
Yeah, that's
that's not sustainable on the creative side of things, not even
confuses
from
me.
the consumer. Yeah. Oh,
And and live service games are fine, right? Because I kind of compare them to mobile games
mhm.
where you find your audience in those mobile games. You know what I mean? And live service games are fine. It's just the when are throwing money towards like we want to be as successful as them. If we just make something like it, that's a win. And it's like no.
No, and because the thing I don't think they're realizing about live service is if I'm into a live service game and I've spent like 500, $1,000, however much on whatever that is, even if you make something better, I've already got money in this. It's you have to just be so next level for me to switch over.
Mhm.
So I think on top of having a saturated market, you have a market where people it's not even brand loyalty, it's more like, "Man, I've already spent this money on this, I'm not switching over,"
You
like,
can't
even
refund me, my
yeah,
V-Bucks
yeah.
in Fortnite. So
So, unless you go Destiny 2 and start sunsetting stuff, people aren't you know what I mean? Like, Destiny, if people had, like, many of their expansions, they're probably gonna stick with that game even if a better game came out until they started sunsetting or vaulting or whatever they called it,
yeah,
like, content and taking away stuff that they'd already paid for. That's the kind of stuff if that happens, you can then get people to switch over to a different live service game. But if that's not happening, I don't think that you're gonna get people to leave what they're currently playing if they've already spent a whole bunch of money on it.
it doesn't make sense because a lot of the when the original Destiny came out, the exclusive like weapons, because that was the big thing, like you get this weapon. But if you had it, it was because you did something cool in game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then to then one day just be like, so we saved this planet from moon people, or what? I don't know the story. We saved the whole planet. And you got this gun, and then someone's like, "I'm gonna take that gun from you." Like
That's actually was
like
another complaint I had read about Destiny is every year that to keep the meta fresh or something. I can't remember what the Bungie's excuse was, but they would not allow people to upgrade their old weapons. So if you had a favorite weapon from last season, it just stuck where it was, and now new and harder content came out, and you couldn't upgrade it. You now had to go put like abandon all that stuff and get new gear and equipment. So
that gives me the frowny face emoji.
yeah, yeah,
That
I,
I
I
don't
really
like that.
think it's actually interesting to look up like just how badly Bungie managed Destiny 2, and that's as someone who's never played Destiny or Destiny 2 in their life. I was encapsulated or I was captivated by it because I was just like well, I don't even play this game, and this sounds just absolutely horrible what they're doing to their player base. Like,
Yeah, ugh,
ugh. But
don't like it.
and then, so we've talked a lot about the bad things that AAA has done, which goes on to the good things that Indie and AA have. But this is something you brought up: is the developer making the game they want to make versus listening to the fan.
Mhm.
And I actually would say that a lot, like Silksong is the best example, a lot of just letting their developer make what they want to make, not that they don't listen to their fans, has actually kind of been successful for them because if you listen to the fans, Silksong would have been nerfed on the difficulty like to heck right now. And they did
Mhm.
make some nerfs to some early game bosses, but I actually like it better that they didn't do that and they made the game that they wanted and kept it that way because the difficulty made Silksong for me. And I'm not usually a fan of difficult games,
Mhm.
but so that's a weird one. And I think AAA studios are in a position where they're not listening to their fans, but if there's something that is that big of a complaint, they have to react.
Yeah.
Where like Team Cherry, they didn't have to react, and I think that in the long run, it's actually going to be better for the health of their game that they did just make the game that they wanted. They did keep the difficulty, and they did, you know what I mean?
Focus. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like they
they kept it within their scope. Thank you, Laura Fryer, for the
you can keep things in your scope and then also take feedback, right?
yes, yes.
But like, yeah, there's some people, some developers that they lean on like the feedback that they get as like gospel, and
And
they're
I
like,
think
well,
that can be as
we've
bad
got to,
not
we
receiving
got to change it. Everything's like, no, man. Like I think the great thing about all of the tools that are readily available right now, as far as Blender for creating and animating anything in 3D, the fact that it's free, like you can just get it. And then that is what people are using in the industry, like to 3D model and everything. You've got free and it's kind of like Unity and Unreal. You got to pay royalty like later, but like you can just download the Unreal Engine, the same thing that these developers are using for it. Um, AI. No one likes to say that, but yes, AI can be very helpful in game development if you're just making a game, like if it's just you.
well, especially because I have a dream. The best looking King of Fighters was King of Fighters 13,
Yes.
and it was like oh, this rotoscoped animation, everything, way too expensive. SNK had to abandon it.
Yeah.
But I feel like now, and I know again, I'm a little bit of an AI. I'm a big time AI hater myself, but with AI, you could bring down costs like that so much where you could get a King of Fighters 13 looking game at a,
Yeah.
I don't want to say bargain bin price, but at a
6 cents. Like,
6 cents.
yeah, you use the tools that are available to like make it better and not rely on it to do the work for you. Right. I think that's kind of the big thing with AI and obviously not stealing people's like artwork and all that fun stuff. But there's so many ideas that you can go from I have an idea and then actually get it done within a day, a week, you know, that's possible now. And that makes it more fun because now you have like there's websites, I don't even know if it's still like out right now because there's controversy, but like itch.io, people just put their games up there, right, that they made. And some of them are absolutely amazing. Like they should be like full-fledged games. And some people just put up like their demos, of like, hey, would this be anything,
You'd be interested.
like, hey, would this work? And everyone's like, nope, you know, but you get like that direct feedback. And I think just because of that, you're going to get better ideas easier, right? You're going to be able to not wait years, silk song, years to get your hands on something. You can literally like put out like a quick little demo and just give it to people.
And it seems like you can refine some kind of new idea or innovation a little bit because a lot of times some kind of new gameplay mechanic or something comes out. At first, it's not all the way there. You know what I mean? So if you upload it to that and you get some feedback, so I could see something like that being really
There's so many like YouTube videos that and not saying you should just copy everything from YouTube, but if you just need like an idea of like, well, how would I do that? You know what I mean? Someone's done it already, and they're just like, oh, I figured this out real quick. Like you just do this and kind of follow along. And now you have something that you didn't have before. And it did not cost you money, really. It didn't cost you years of development time. It's something that you can do real quick. And with game development, even like, okay, so one of the games I love and will never stop talking about is Sea of Stars. It is when you look at it, you go, all right, like it looks cool, especially if you're into, the old school JRPGs. But like it's the first game they made was The Messenger, and they had a publisher for it. And then with that money, They just made Sea of Stars all by themselves. And they spent 5
Now, hold on.
years.
Would you say The Messenger is better than Sea of Stars?
They're different games.
Well, The Messenger has a ninja.
There is, okay, I will tell you that there is a ninja in Sea of Stars.
I'm sold. Five
Okay.
out of five.
All right.
Okay, so
I can't tell you who it is, spoilers, but there is a ninja. Um, so they spend 5 years working on Sea of Stars. Not because it took them 5 years, it's because even the simple things that the game does them so well. And there's not a lot, if you think about it, like how you break the game down and everything, um, your characters like learn all of their skills really early in the game. Like you don't get new skills later, but the way that the game works is that you don't really have to grind either. So now you have your set of skills um, really early, and now the game is okay. Now how do I use the same skills in this situation, in this situation, and in this situation? And I think you could have just done the normal JRPG round, just like, oh, I have 30 skills and it does this. Like this game has like some characters have four, some characters have three. And I'm sitting there like trying to figure out like what do I have to do to win? Because even like the regular random encounter battles, there's not random ones, but even like the regular battles can turn deadly like real quick, which is kind of funny. But they took their time, realized like their scope was probably very, very sharp, and they did everything they needed to, and they did not rush it. And I think that is partly what made that game.
and I think that's what's making indie and double A so good right now is that they can take that. Maybe not the guy that's the lone developer just living off like ramen or whatever. If they have even a small amount of financial backing, they can take that time to make sure you have that super tight experience.
Tight,
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 tight, that tight scope,
yeah.
you know? And it seems like a very simple idea, especially for people like us.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I know he loves this game, so I don't want him to get insulted by this. I thought it was like a Chrono Trigger ripoff.
Well,
So, but
that
you're
was
making
very,
it sound like it's much more.
it's not
Because
really,
the best parts of Chrono Trigger were some of the battles where like you'd have to fight a certain part of the enemy to disable it, so to use these skills and that. Because Chrono Trigger's battle system actually wasn't just this like whack 'em, I've better stats than you. I mean, a little bit it was, but like there was actually, especially some of the boss battles, there was actually some thought that had to go behind it. Like I remember there's one if you took out his arms, it wouldn't be able to use this attack, and then da 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 da.
yeah.
And even like in Lavos, when you go into him, like
Spoilers,
oh
come
sorry,
on.
yeah,
Game came out
but
in
yeah,
95,
okay.
okay?
Well, but you
Spoilers.
know what I'm talking about those. So, but
Yeah.
it's more along those lines. It's
It's
not
so
just
it's okay. So it's even better, okay? Because they have this lock system in the game where okay, so everything's turn-based, right?
mhm.
And it goes you go, they go, you go, they go, right? But it's not like um it's not like a normal turn-based game. You have a little icon, well, the enemies have a little icon with a number on it. So that means the net if like it has a two, you have two actions on your team before he goes,
Okay.
right? But let's just say he's going to do like a powerful attack. He'll do an attack. You'll like, they have a different animation for like charging up for the attack or whatever. And then it'll have like a flame icon and then like a sword icon. You have to hit them with a fire and a sword attack before their turn ends, or he'll do the attack.
Okay. Okay.
So it seems like it's a big deal, but it's really not because it's not like you're like deep in thought like me. But sometimes you'll get character like fighting bosses that have like six locks on them, and there is an option to keep them hidden so you don't actually know what you're supposed to be doing until you actually unlock it. So it adds like a little bit more depth because if you're say you're trying to use the fire spell or whatever, but he's not in your party right now, you can just swap them out real quick. You know, put the fire guy in, and it doesn't like use up a turn. So now you're using more characters that you normally wouldn't use, and it's not. And since everybody's the same level, it doesn't matter. It's just really like, how do I get through this fight, just so I can get to
Okay,
like
okay,
this
I'm
puzzle.
understanding it.
So the gameplay, fantastic, right? But it just kind of speaks to, you can clearly see that they spent a lot of time on exploration. They spent a lot of time on like the dungeon design. Um,
Well, I'm just getting those mechanics down because if you just sloppily put on like, like, oh, fire and attack, and this guy won't do anything, like you got to make sure you have it the right thing so it's not too easy, it's not too hard. Like,
yeah, and to me that's what and it's an interesting thing about the game that I kind of learned was the first half of the game that I was playing it. It seemed like it was such a long game, right? And then towards the end, I felt like the game was moving too fast, for me. But then it clicked. I just figured out how to be better at the battles.
yeah, and then you figured out the
And
special
so
mechanics and
and
that
so it
stuff.
wasn't like every battle was easier. I was not thinking as much about like what I had to do. I was like, okay, this guy is gonna do this, this, and this. I'm ready for it. I'm just like boom, 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 boom. And so yes, like I will talk about the game a lot because it was
See a Stars episode coming
yeah.
soon.
It also made me super depressed, and maybe we'll talk about that in that episode as well. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
What?
not in a bad
Okay,
way.
maybe I'm gonna avoid this.
Yeah,
I was like,
not
okay, I'm
not
gonna
in
beat the messenger. I'm gonna get to see the
yeah.
stars. Yeah, it'll make you super depressed.
No, no,
Okay.
no. The game didn't
Yeah,
make me
I'm
depressed.
not looking to pop Zola off anytime soon. So,
Me, um, personally, it made me a little bit sad because they did a lot of things that I was working on already. And to see what you've been working on and you think was a great idea, and then they do it, you're kind of like flip the
oh, okay,
table
okay.
over a little bit. But um, they are a great example of they've only made two games, and they made a lot of money because it sold like 5 million copies in 3 months, and it wasn't even a full $60, $70 game. I think it was like $30, $35 or something like that. I got it for 20. I
Buy
bought it
everything on sale.
and I bought it twice. I bought it on I have it on the Switch, and then I got it on PS5 because I can keep the Switch places. So,
Well, you need to buy it. You be a true fan. Buy it on Steam now.
yep, and then yeah, I'll buy it on Steam. There's a physical edition that came out for it,
Gotta get it.
so got
Gotta
to get
get
that one. But they are like kind of my example of just do what you want and it'll be successful. And I think that's what we're
it.
kind of talking about
Yeah,
with AAA games. Like I don't think they
are
are
doing what they want.
they're not doing what they want. They're not doing what
Chasing trends.
they're chasing trends. Yeah, keep saying words and I'll just keep adding to the sense. They are not run by the developers. I don't think. Because if the developers were in charge, this would be a different conversation. This would be like, why are games so great and everything is awesome right now? And I think especially with FIFA, um, how they were like, someone leaked one of their sales presentations for it, and like it did not talk about the game whatsoever. It was talking about how do we get people into the mode where you buy the characters card packs,
Yeah.
and it was like that was their whole pitch for the next FIFA. And I was like, but there's like soccer players and teams and stuff, and they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. This presentation is going to be how can we maximize the profits with using FC coins. And I'm like, well, that's not a soccer game anymore.
Well, no, it's definitely not. But they took it because I actually, when I was wee child, I used to collect the cards. So they took that it's not gamma, but like that addiction, like getting new packs of cards and seeing what you had and put it into the game.
Hmm.
So they're getting tons of money off of that. Yeah, I can honestly understand what they're doing there, even though it's maybe not the most moral thing, but they're definitely for them. I think that's what they have to do with FIFA because you're not really going to improve the gameplay like soccer. I don't see that.
Okay.
I,
Not only,
I'm not to defend the corporate greed of EA. I think is who makes FIFA, but what else are you going to do with FIFA? Okay, you got to lean into the
not only do I know for a fact, because we were on the greatest soccer team ever to grace, I don't know, any country, right? Cover Strike.
Counter Strike.
Okay. Not only did you get 11 handballs in the game, um,
I got yellow carded for
you
handballs. I
got
remember
you
that.
got yellow carded for it, but I don't think we won an entire game that season.
No, I
Okay.
think we tied one and we lost every other one.
Yeah. And so to say that there's nothing there, right? I'm saying that what if you took a ragtag team of kids who kind of are only there because their parents needed something to do, or, my parents were hungover, and the coach, which is kind of a Mighty Duck story, because remember, he was only there for his community service
Yeah.
because I think he was like drunk driving, and his son likes to play soccer, so his son's now on the team. Nepotism. And so, why can't that be a FIFA thing? You know what I mean?
Lean into the cards. Lean into
Lean
the
into the
cards.
cards,
We don't need the community service coach. Okay. No, but no, but in all seriousness, I think that again goes why it goes back to what someone said earlier is they to be successful have to just maximize profit and make it a make the shareholders happy or whatever. And that's why the AA studios are killing it right now because they don't have that. They're not, these publicly traded companies most of the time. So they have to please the fans in order to be
the
successful.
fans are the one buying their thing.
Yeah, the fans. So I think that until that business model changes, you're just going to see the continuing downfall of AAA and AA indie going up. But the only thing is, I fear is that like maybe not with the team carry because they just seem like they do their own thing, but as some of these studios that we consider AA now grow and get more successful, will they become what they hate? Will they, like Animal Farm, will the pigs stand upright and walk in and have dinner with the farm? Haven't read Animal Farm, you know what I'm talking
No, and
about. But basically, what will they betray what made them get to that
right. And only time and success could tell, because if you're not in charge of what you're creating, um, the second you listen or get someone else's input on something and now it's not yours anymore, you've got two choices, I think, right? Either tell them no thanks, and you have to do the head wiggle,
point.
and you gotta say,
Four snaps
yeah,
in Z formation.
yeah, you gotta be like, no, or you say yes, and then now that it's not yours.
See, that's why I meant. I think the scariest thing going forward for me is when a beloved studio of mine becomes publicly traded. That's the time I'll be, no,
Yeah,
no, don't do it. Don't do it. But that again brings back, I don't think we really answered. No, well, I guess we're kind of in the middle, but listening to the fans versus having the developers make the game they want. Like I think you said it best. For like make you want feedback from the fans, but not necessarily to be ruled over by.
yeah. There's a game I play. It's called Hearthstone,
Yeah,
and I don't play standard. I only play. There's a mode called Battlegrounds. That's all I play. I don't play the main game. I don't even know what to do if I were to do it.
my kid was super into Hearthstone, but I don't
I
know.
I I think I passed the tutorial because I had to play Battlegrounds, but uh, they're kind of in a situation where their development cycle, specifically for Battlegrounds, is they they think of a really cool idea, they put that idea out. We as players break the game, and then we're like, "What? Did no one play test this game? Like we break it, and then they reel it back, and they're like, "I'm sorry, guys. Like we did this." Um, every time there's a patch, because their patches come pretty much at the same time, like every year, and it seems like that's the idea for them. They they come up with an idea. They don't really, I don't know if they know how to balance it or they just don't test it enough, but it feels we are the beta testers for the new idea. And then based on our feedback, they go change it.
Now, do you think that's actually a bad thing? Because the one thing is, even if they had a team of like 1,000 people testing that game, it won't. That's a fraction of amount compared to when you put it out and you have all these people. So in a weird way, I almost think it might improve the game that not that no one tests it at all, but that they just do have the fans testing.
Yeah, so I don't mind it, right? It's the idea that there's a lot of bugs that happen, and there's a lot of things that the interactions between the cards cause some issues, like unintended ones. And I think like the bugs are kind of annoying, but like we as the players kind of understand it. But there are I don't mind being the beta tester, right? What I do dislike is they get rid of constantly things that are fun about the game, and they just, as one of my favorite movies said, Step Brothers, crushed to no, and it stops being
It's a
fun.
Riot game, right?
Well, no, no Hearthstone,
Oh, isn't Hearthstone a Riot game?
Blizzard,
Oh, oh, Blizzard.
and
Okay,
so it's just like I don't like
that was only balanced with crushing to normal.
I dislike that. I'm like, no, it's fun, like fun
Yeah,
first, please, and then like I guess balance around it being fun. Which is another thing I will say. That's why you can never have a fighting game that's balanced.
I actually think balance is bad, straight up, because yeah, like I said, fighting games, the Hearthstone, like even that they nerfed my architect uh, impressed in Silksong. I was so mad. I don't know why, but they did.
Freedom.
And yeah, I think exactly that is because usually if you have something that is 100% balanced, something not fun about it. So maybe you don't want it just incredibly broken and all, you know what I mean? Like when I watch these Hokuto no Ken videos,
Mhm.
maybe not that. Even though when I played it on Fightcade, it doesn't actually play like that. I don't know how people do those combos. I'm not capable. But I actually think a little bit of brokenness is actually a good thing because that is usually either if it's your character or whatever in the card or whatever that's broken, it's fun too. But also figuring out ways to counter that brokenness is also part of the fun.
That is very fun.
So I think that the perfect balance is a little bit unbalanced.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Like
Yeah.
as long as it kind of
Which is
fits
why
in
I'm
with it.
against listening to fan 20%, and which I know is maybe a hot take, but because I feel like a lot of people they do want that perfect balance, and I'm just like, let the
No,
developers do the thing,
no.
like unless
If
they're nerfing archetypes.
if you designed a fighting game, there'd be no grappling.
No,
Okay, there'd be
yeah,
nothing. There'd
no.
be you know what? Let's go all the way
I would be the best. You know what? I know what the best fighting game is. One with no grappling and one where the back button doesn't work. You just jump at each other or you dash at each other and you hit the fear. Like you can have other buttons, but they don't get used. You just hit the fierce button or the roundhouse button.
So take an A.
Is that second eight?
That's second A. Yeah,
Oh, you sold me. I'm this okay. I'm
yeah. Never mind.
yeah.
Yeah, second
Second
A.
eight. Wow. Yeah. Oh my God. You just
That's
I can't believe I haven't tried it yet. I'm so happy.
yeah. No, you just
Uh,
go. Just attack. Why defend?
yes, yes, thank you. But not only just not defend, I don't even want to be able to back up. Okay? It's just, you keep going forward.
I mean, okay.
It's like two reds, you know what I mean? When
Yeah.
they're just like battling it out.
Why do you even need to back up? I ain't no punk.
I I
I
know,
ain't no punk.
huh? I know, huh? Sup? Sup? Huh?
Just yelling at what? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? So, what else do you think could benefit? Because it sounds like it's kind of a leadership issue, honestly.
I think it's just like yeah, leadership definitely, but also just mentality. Because I'm willing to bet that a lot of the leadership, like I'm willing to bet the main like actual developers over Bungie probably didn't want some of this stuff where they're taking out people, the things that people paid for, getting microtransactions out the arse.
Mm,
But as long as it is controlled by that environment where the game to them is just get all the money out of the player that you can, and that can be successful, I think that's how it's going to continue to be. So I think that the best thing that can happen to AAA right now is a crash where they have to, where the most profitable, it is going to be always with especially publicly traded company, it is always going to be what is most profitable. And for AAA to get good again, the most profitable way has to be making players happy. Kind of how it is with the AA and indies. And so I think that the savior, and I know this sounds unintuitive, almost an anti-intuitive. I feel like I know this sounds anti-intuitive, but I think the AAA needs a big and that would actually get it on the right path because it's like, okay, we can't sit here nickel and dime. We can't sit here and have a million forever games. It's not going to work. If we're actually going to make money in the video game business, we have to please the fans. So I think the answer to the AAA dilemma for the indie level space to keep growing is keep the fans happy, which I know out of all, I think that's anyone who just tuned in, that probably was what you had in your head right from the beginning, and we just took the longest route ever to get there.
because you also
But
just said not a couple of minutes ago, don't listen to the fans.
no, okay, but okay, in a specific way, no, in a specific way, because like right now, Ninja Gaiden 4 is what actually is making me think of this, because there can be a certain kind of negativity with the fans
Hmm.
that like wreck stuff. Like so, Ninja Gaiden 4 from the gameplay footage and everything, it's not going to be Ninja Gaiden 2, which is what a lot of people want. So everyone's just finding any reason to crap all over it and say this needs to be changed and that needs to be changed. And it's like, this is a case where I don't think you should listen to fans. I think that Team Platinum, I believe, Team Platinum Games is the ones making it. They just need to stick to their guns. Now, I don't like that there's microtransactions and you have to pay for this deluxe edition and everything to get the extra weapons and everything. They're not unlockable in the game. That's separate. That's something I would listen to us fans on. But there's a certain time where like just Platinum Games make the Ninja Gaiden you want. If it's good, like people will be there. And just because it's not Ninja Gaiden 2, uh, I think they need to ignore those criticisms and not listen to fans on that one. I love Ninja Gaiden 2. Don't get me wrong, but there's this certain times where not listening to the fans. Obviously, that's not the best way to put it. But there is a certain time where you have to realize we can be a bunch of haters that need to be ignored. Hey, and you need to realize those moments. So no, you do want to listen to the fans, like you said, you do want to get feedback and everything, but there has to be a time where the developer needs to stick to the guns and make the game that they want.
Right. Balance in
Yeah,
all things.
that all. You know who said that? Finn from League of Legends, a
Well, then,
ninja tank. It's something that's very rare. Yeah, he's a tank.
I thought like an actual tank. Like, like somehow he's like a giant. He's got like a tank tread wheels. He just wears like a little ninja mask on there. No, actual.
You know what? Don't put that out there because Ryan will turn that into like
Oh,
$100
sorry. Yeah, that'll just be white noise
scam.
everywhere. Well, what else
Well,
do we need to talk about?
uh,
Save the gaming industry.
yeah, we can
So,
save the gaming industry. Save the gaming industry. We need a giant financial crash within the AAA space. And no, I don't actually hate saying that 'cause I don't want to do a job.
turn it down.
But I do think it is one of those things where there does need to be a AAA gaming crash for them to get on. Well, specifically, I think a lot of it comes back to this obsession with live service. Like, again, if you're gonna like add-ons and everything, you're adding like a decent amount of content and charging, 10, $20 or something. But when it comes to this live service battle pass and you pay every season $20, you get or whatever, like I just don't think that the price it is good for the content they're giving with these live service games. So they always find other ways to get people either addicted or needing to play or FOMO or something like that. And I don't think that's sustainable. I think it's gonna burn out the wallets, the will, and everything else of the average gaming consumer. And I think that needs to go away. And I think the best thing, or I think the best way for that to happen is AAA game. Not ET Atari levels back in the day, but I think we need to see a pretty big crash of some of the.
Well, so EA's kind of out of it now, I guess, right?
I heard they got bought over, but they're 20 billion in debt or something. I need to research that. I didn't
Yeah,
understand what was going on
they
there.
so they got bought um by a Saudi Arabian
Oh,
company,
yeah,
an
the Saudi
investment.
Arabians are the primary investors, but it's
Yeah,
actually like a collective. It's
yeah,
just solely the Saudis.
and that's even weirder to me because we're no game, we're the game developers,
Yeah,
right? Now it's owned by like a shadow company firm thing.
yeah, and a lot of people online, I saw a lot of videos that were kind of like, "Oh yeah, EA deserves it." Da, da, da. And I'm like, I don't think this is gonna be like new boss, possibly worse than old boss. And I'm not even talking. I know there's a lot of politics surrounding this. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actually how they handle the games. Might actually become even worse because now you've got this giant investment company that has even less to do with games than the old one, or at least the same amount. Like, I don't see this as an improvement, and like that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it'd be better if there was a giant gaming crash. EA stock went down so far that you're not getting these giant investment companies. They're
Mhm.
taking their money elsewhere and out of gaming. And like, I actually think that would be better than because,
I
like I
don't
said,
want that to happen, but
because I do want people to make money, but you're never going to have the developers having that much input over these investors unless something like that happens.
right,
You're not, you know what I mean? You're not going to get I'm trying to like just like a John Carmack, John Romero in situation if like they were all about like making sure the investment is successful instead of the company in the game.
yeah, just want just want to play games.
What are you gonna do?
We just want to play games that are good, and we don't want to have to.
That's why I fully switched to basically either getting it on sale unless it's like Ninja Gaiden 4 is one of my exceptions, or just switching to the AA and indie space because it's actually for a certain kind of gamer, if you don't really care about like if you're not a Call of Duty gamer, not to diss Call of Duty gamers, if you don't really care about like graphics and just that kind of stuff, it's actually an amazing time to be a gamer in a
Mhm.
lot of ways because I have a bigger Steam library right now than I'll ever probably play. Like I'm willing to bet like the games in my Steam library right now will never actually get beaten. But I'm still glad I bought them to support those companies, and I'm sure they are great games because there's that many great games out there that there's too many for me to play over the course of the rest of my lifetime,
Yeah,
which are getting old is not actually that long. But it's in a lot of ways a great time to be a gamer. I just, it's more, I, you want more Team Cherry situation where you see a lot of developers that just they are getting rich and it's sitting there and getting good return on their investment for their time and making a game in which we all loved. All some of us, can be moved by like its art and everything. And you're just not getting that from AAA space. I think that I'm kind of bad with. But basically, I don't want to see the industry fail, but I think it needs to because it's just the creatives got kicked out, the merchants got put in, and it's been bad for everybody. But you can still find a lot of amazing stuff out there. It's one of the best times to be a gamer. Besides that, just avoid AAA. And that's actually what I wanted to say this whole time. We could cut down this podcast. AAA sucks, bro. It's all about indie and double A. Why?
Boom. Not even like a lowercase a. Those games.
Yeah, lowercase a gaming, right? Is that? I thought like,
That's not sign language.
well, no, but look, because there's a circle and there's the like little line down. That's true. Hey, son.
And then this is that. If you're
That,
listening
that,
to this, we're trying to figure out how to make an A shape.
that,
Like if you're not looking at
yeah,
video,
if you're not looking at the video, okay, he's trying to bring sign language into that, and I'm like, I invented something better than sign language. Okay, you make a circle with one hand, and then you put your finger on it at a diagonal angle, and it actually makes an A, and it looks just like if you had written it out. So,
I
I
mean,
mean, signing community, I'm here. If you want, I'll require royalties, but you can use it. S.
don't, no, no,
What?
can't do that. Um, but yeah, I think we agree that AAA isn't who we should be looking at to kind of pioneer the gaming industry right now. It's
Not
random people, and there's the fact that it's kind of changed the status quo, so to so to speak. It's great um, for, for everybody, I think, because you now can maybe find something that isn't mainstream or whatever, and you can find like your little niche that you like. You know, I think that's actually good for the fans.
First, it definitely is. And you know what? One thing is also why I think it's the best time ever to be a gamer is because if you actually sit and go through Steam and you have a favorite genre like I do, I love boomer shooters, they have made a boomer shooter of every kind of thing. They have, I just got it. I haven't beaten it yet, or I haven't really played it that much, but Technoplasm, it has this weird name. It is a beat 'em up in first person. Like,
Mhm.
so there is so much creativity and everything out there that platforms like Steam allow indie and double A developers to publish on now that I actually do think it really is the best time to be a gamer of all time. You've got to put in a little work and find it. You can no longer rely on the blue chip stock AAA to just do it for you. So if you put in the work, best time ever to be a gamer.
Awesome, awesome. I think that kind of wraps up our discussion
Yeah,
for today.
I got a
Right?
little angry and bad psychobabbly at the end. I
It's okay.
apologize for that,
It's
but
definitely okay.
you know, lowercase a gaming is what it's all about.
Lowercase. Okay. But yeah. So thanks for listening. I appreciate your time again, and we'll see you next time.